Hey, it's Guy Raz here, host of How I Built This, with a quick recommendation. Every holiday weekend comes with a lot of waiting, traffic, airport security lines. And so while you're waiting, why don't you just binge on How I Built This? Each episode, I speak with a founder of a company who has an incredible story of how it all began. You can find How I Built This on the NPR One app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Car Talk from National Public Radio with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're broadcasting this week from the Historic Preservation Pavilion here at Car Talk Plaza.
Historic Preservation Pavilion?
Well, we received in the mail recently two very interesting and products of historic proportion. At least one of them is. We've referred to this one many times on the show.
I mean, it's an urban legend, this stuff.
It is.
I mean, it's one of those things that you don't even know if it really ever existed. It's sort of like Atlantis. I mean, people keep talking about it, but no one's ever actually seen it. And here it is, a spray can of Cosmoline.
Oh, my God.
Cosmoline exists. Here it is.
Cosmoline does exist.
I'll hold it up to the microphone.
This is the stuff of legend. It was reported that there were thousands of U.S. Army surplus Jeeps that were for sale. I remember when I was a kid, they were $50 a piece.
They're always $50.
Yeah, and they were packed in Cosmoline. They're packed in $300 worth of Cosmoline to preserve them. So no matter what happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't even pack them in $50 worth of Cosmoline. Well, where did that story ever come from?
Well, it may have come from Houghton International, which is the maker of Cosmoline.
And they still make the stuff, and they even got it in a spray can.
These cans are from World War II.
Oh, they are?
No, they still make it, and it contains, I suppose I can divulge.
There's a reference here to Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Anyway, the stuff contains three very interesting ingredients, which I'll share with you.
Yeah.
Startered solvent.
Oh, don't you love it?
We don't have to go any farther. Hexylene glycol.
See, we could figure that out.
Which is what gives it that greasy feel.
Yeah.
And 1,2,4-trimethylbenzene, which is what makes it toxic.
I could even draw the Fisher diagram for that.
You could. I'm sure you
could. I mean, when you've taken organic chemistry as many times as I have, trying to pass it, wow. And
well, obviously the stuff is a preservative, and I thought that I would try a small little test.
Yeah.
So I decided to see if I didn't want to try to preserve the entire dart because I thought it would be too much of an undertaking for this one little can. So I thought I'd try, like, the driver's seat. So before the show started, I didn't do the whole seat. I just did the back of it.
Oh.
So you won't get your pants wet.
But, yeah?
Don't worry. It looks beautiful.
Well, you'd be happy to know that I also did a test. You know that orange soda you're drinking?
Yeah.
How's it taste? I'm just trying to find out if the stuff
tastes a little like trimethylbenzene, actually.
I'm trying to find out if the stuff is poisonous. I put a little in just before the show.
Look, if you want to talk to us about preserving your car, the number is 1-888-CAR-TALK.
Or preserving this show. You might want to preserve this show by buying a tape. The number to call.
1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
This is Paul in Washington, D.C.
Hey, Paul, what's happening?
Are you a lawyer or a politician?
I'll take the Fifth Amendment.
Cut him off. Get rid of him.
I used to practice law, but fortunately I got out of that business.
Okay.
Oh, God bless you. God bless you.
So what do you...
Wait a minute. Don't tell me you're a lobbyist.
No.
Thank God.
That was a very slow no, however.
Lobbyists might be lower on the scale than lawyers. Lobbyists.
Well, how about PR? Where's PR come in?
PR?
Oh, PR.
That's pretty far down the food chain.
How about criminal defense lawyers?
PR for what? Criminal defense lawyers?
PR for criminal defense lawyers.
God, if anybody needed PR.
We need that. Right?
Boy, talk about find a need and fill it. You must be a marketing genius. PR for criminal defense lawyers.
Well, they have a lot of important things to say.
Yeah, well, no, they have a lot of things to say. I don't know how many of them are important. But anyway.
Wow.
Well, I have a 1992 Volkswagen Jetta.
92.
And I have loved my Jetta because it's peppy. You know what the Fahrvergnügen?
Sure.
You guys know what Fahrvergnügen is?
You got a full complement of Fahrvergnügen, right?
Yes, it came with the full complement.
Yeah.
However, some of it seems to have fallen out of the trunk along the way.
Yeah, it dribbles away. It evaporates, actually.
Over the course of time, I had noticed that it had lost a little bit of its pep and power. I make the mistake of talking to my brother-in-law, who knows about cars, and he suggests I get the spark plugs replaced, which seemed reasonable to me.
Sure, why not? Sounds good.
So I take it to my local car care center,
Yeah.
and I view this as mistake number 2 that I didn't go to the VW dealer. And instead of asking them for a tune-up or anything else, I just asked them to replace the spark plugs.
Okay.
So I assume that's all they do. I get the car back, and you can't believe how poorly it runs. It's bogging, it's stalling. I mean, you think they left some of the wires off or something.
Now, is this one of these national chains that you'd like to mention?
No.
No, you're a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's a local car care place. I previously let them change the oil, and they never seem to screw that up.
Okay. No, we don't. There's no reason that we have to. Find.
So I take it back to them, and what they tell me a number of things. The injector throttle bore is covered with carbon deposits, they say. The timing is way off, and it needs a crankcase filter. And as I understand it, because the fuel injection and the air-fuel mixture is computerized, and the car knows that it has new plugs, and suddenly it's realizing the timing's way off.
This sounds like one of my brother's answers.
This is good. I like this. These guys are going to win an Oscar for something. We'll work on the category here for a minute. Yeah.
I took it back, and I let them. When I took it back, they adjusted the timing. They cleaned the injector throttle bore, and they didn't have the crankcase filter in, so they said they'd do that later. But just having done the first 2 things, they gave it back to me, and indeed, it's much improved.
Good.
Well,
of course, I'm much poorer too.
Well, that's interesting. I mean,
you say you're much poorer. Basically, they cleaned the throttle, and they adjusted the timing. Well, what could they have charged you for this?
Well, $58 to clean the throttle and adjust the timing.
Yeah.
And the original.
And installing 4 spark plugs.
Yeah.
Was how much?
$30.
$25. Yeah.
That wasn't that much.
Right.
Well, I mean, so what's the nature of your question?
Does this make any sense at all?
Well, no, their explanation made no sense whatsoever.
None of it makes much sense.
If the car was running okay before I took it in and got new spark plugs.
Yeah.
New spark plugs should have done nothing but improved it.
That's right. There's no way that it could have run terribly worse, unless, of course, they misadjusted the spark plugs. That's possible, isn't it? It is possible that when they put the spark plugs in, they had one of the neophytes who had never done a spark plug before, and they said, "Hey,
Neophyte Knuckle Scraper,
Neophyte NN, OOTB, and FWPP," and they said, "Hey, put these 4 spark plugs in the VW over there," and he just takes out the old ones and puts the new ones in, and in the process, either A, doesn't adjust the gap whatsoever, just throws them in, or B, crosses a couple of wires when he does it.
I mean, it was undrivable when you left?
No, it wasn't undrivable, but it was pretty pathetic.
He didn't cross the wires. No. He simply didn't ever adjust the gap.
Or more likely than not, he dropped one of them and the gap closed up to 0.
Right. It was running on 3 cylinders. So when you brought it back, all they did was they said, "Hey, jerk, what did you do here?" And he took out the spark plugs and he fixed whatever he had done wrong in installing the spark plugs. The timing, I mean, if the timing had been off before, it was off afterwards, and it's very unlikely that the timing was way off.
And putting the plugs in didn't affect the timing, didn't affect the fuel-air ratio or any of that stuff, so their explanation is bogus.
The computer does not know how old the spark plugs are. I mean, we'll probably get to that one of these days, but at the moment, we don't have computers that do that.
Okay.
So none of that had anything to do with anything, and all they did was they installed the spark plugs, for which they charged you $30, which was probably the right price.
And then they charged you $58 for doing it again.
They charged you $58 for fixing what they did wrong the first time.
I'll tell you what you should invest your money in. You should probably change the air filter and the gas filter. I think the gas filter might go a long way toward improving your performance.
That sounds reasonable.
Just between you and me, don't let anyone else know this, but I would not go back to this local car care center again because, A, they have proven that they are both incompetent and dishonest.
Well,
and those are the two key criteria for finding yourself a mechanic.
First of all, after they put the plugs in, they should have at least test-driven the car, and they should have known before you drove it
that something was wrong.
That it was running lousy.
And they should have fixed it for nothing. So they owe you $58.
Yeah, I find that persuasive.
Yeah.
It is persuasive. I mean, they won't give you the $50. I mean, you might confront them with this and ask them for the $58. It's very unlikely that they'll give it to you because they're very short-sighted. They could give you the $58, which would maybe mean that you would come back someday.
No, you don't want to go back, but consider, look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
This what?
I'm looking.
For $58, you learn that you don't want to go there anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a cheap lesson.
It is
a cheap lesson, exactly.
Right, you have rid yourselves of them, and they of you.
Who's luckier?
We don't know. You're a lawyer and they're mechanics, and we're right down there groveling around together.
In the muck. Good luck, Paul.
Thanks very much.
Change that fuel filter. Bye-bye. 1-888-CAR-TALK or 1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
My name's Linda.
Where are you from, Linda?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Okay.
I have a question about what you said about how to get a car to stop running.
Yeah. How to get a car to stop running.
Yes, if you've locked your keys out.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
that was a
sure.
week or so ago. Someone had left the keys in the car with the engine running, and we said, if I recall, you stick a potato up the tailpipe, and it'll stall.
Okay, here's...
You tried it, and it didn't work.
Well, no. There was a woman who left her dog in her car.
Yeah.
With the engine running.
Yeah.
And she left the door unlocked, but while she was out of the car, the dog got excited and stepped on the power lock. Okay, so she's locked out.
Right.
So my friend was telling me about this.
Yeah.
And I said that, the guys on Car Talk said that you could just shove something up the tailpipe and that the engine would stop running. And she said, wouldn't that kill the dog?
Wouldn't that kill the dog? Reminds me of a joke I heard. Never mind.
It's a peculiar behavior. Shoot the dog!
I said, no, it wouldn't kill the dog, I don't think, of course, knowing nothing about it.
But she, first of all, she left the dog in the car with the engine running?
Right.
That was a little dumb, huh?
Well, but, the car wasn't geared. It was in park, It wasn't...
Well, let me just tell you something. My dear brother-in-law, who is not well known for his genius, left his dog in his truck one time.
The dog is better known for his genius.
And the dog stepped on the shift lever and took the truck out of neutral and took the car out of gear rather and put it into neutral, and the truck rolled away. So if the dog can lock the doors, what's shifting out of park? It's nothing. The dog is going to learn that in no time.
Oh no! In fact, if you watch really closely, if a dog is in the car, you can actually see the dog changing radio stations and doing all those kinds of things. They have to make sure you're not watching.
Yeah,
but
they can do all
those things.
So she shouldn't have done that. But I guess she knows that. And there's no sense my sitting here playing holier than thou, because I've probably done some stupid things in my...
No, you haven't.
Some? Well, the dog, to answer the question, no, the dog wouldn't die. I think I understand where she's coming from.
Where? Where is she coming from?
She thinks that by plugging the tailpipe, the car would not stall immediately, and somehow it would cause exhaust gases to get into the compartment where the poor dog is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's the reason you put a parakeet in there with the dog. The parakeet goes, and you have to break the glass. No, the car would stall out so quickly that there would never be enough exhaust. And first of all, if the exhaust system were tight, there'd be no way exhaust could escape, period.
Right. And the exhaust is not going to get into the car because the exhaust system is basically outside of the passenger compartment, and it's hardly going to sneak in.
It could get in if there were a leak and there were a hole in the floor right adjacent to the leak. I suppose that could happen. And the car didn't stall when you stuck the potato in the tailpipe. Okay. When you do this thing with the potato, it stalls within a matter of 20 seconds or so.
That's what I...
And if it doesn't, it's going to run real lousy. You know, have a tough time to explain to those guys at Midas.
No, but
why you want a new muffler.
The truth is, if you had holes in the exhaust system, it would not stall because the exhaust would just leak out through the holes. And if you also had holes like in the floorboards of the car, you're going to be driving a heap, sort of like my '63 Datra. then yes, it is possible for fumes to get into the car. But that's why my car doesn't lock, I guess. It's
if you had a hole in the floor, you just reach in and unlock one of the doors
through the hole in the floor.
Get the dog out.
Got the dog out was smarter than my idea anyway. They got a dog biscuit from a neighbor and held the dog biscuit by the window.
And the
dog danced all over the window rolling up power switch,
Right.
No kidding.
So it was better than my method, but I just wanted to know if I was in danger of killing dogs.
No, in fact, that's what I would have suggested, to lure the dog with a stake or something and get it to stand.
Get it to stand on the, if you have power windows, everyone has power, well, I don't have power windows.
No.
No, that was very, very clever. Who did that?
The lady who got the dog.
So and there I am calling her a dummy, and the fact is that she's smart as hell. That was very clever.
Well, she was.
Yeah, she was.
Well, tell her that her dog is safe.
Okay.
Tell her not to leave. I think the reason she left the motor running is it was probably cold. She didn't want the dog to get a chill. But no, the dogs don't get cold in cars. I mean, it's nice and warm.
It was actually in the summer, and she didn't want it to get hot.
Air conditioner on.
She had the air conditioner on, and she was just going to leave for a minute to go do something.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
I don't know either, but our poor dogs take a lot of punishment because we don't have time to be with them. It's unfortunate. Yeah. But they have to go through.
Did this show used to be about cars?
Yeah, it did.
Remember when people
Bye, Linda.
Bye, you guys are great. Thanks.
We have been reduced to cream rinse, and I mean, I don't know what else.
I don't know. Pet care.
Pet care? What goes on here? I give up.
Hey, look, before we give the answer to last week's puzzler, we have to pause.
What is this, like station identification?
No, union work rule number 27B. After sitting next to you for 20 minutes, I'm entitled to a minute off for hazardous duty. We'll be back in a minute.
She's got away with words. She's got away with looks. She's got away with cars, and she's got away with books. She's got away with men. She's got away with dogs. She can make a perfect prince from the crudest broad. She's got away with you. She's got away with me. She's understanding everything that you want to be. She doesn't tip her hat. She doesn't tip her hand. She's always playing music, but she doesn't need a band. Sing it, Todd Snyder. She's right on track like James Dean's car. She won't be a falling star. She'd rather explode for all to see.
And even though the universe has second thoughts about expanding whenever we say it, this is NPR.
Support for the Car Talk podcast and the following message comes from Better World Club, the nation's only eco-friendly auto club. Breaking down is no fun, and it's even less fun when the vultures start circling overhead. Luckily, you can avoid winding up as the main course at the Buzzard Buffet and Bistro. Better World Club offers roadside assistance when you need it. Car Talk fans can score 20% with a top secret code at betterworldcartalk.com. Hi, we're back. You're listening to Car Talk with us, Click and Clack, the Tackett Brothers, and we're here to talk about cars, car repair, and, of course, the answer to last week's puzzler. And this was from my delivery truck series that I didn't even know that I had until last week. And it came in from a fellow named Rob Gratney. And Rob writes the following. One of my former jobs was working as a delivery truck driver. And the truck I drove was like 25 feet in length. And one of the places that I routinely delivered to required that I pull straight into a narrow alley in order to unload my truck. You with me?
Yeah.
One cold January day after making my delivery, I discovered that my battery was stone cold dead. I guess I had left my lights on, and when I went for coffee and a schnurdling and then came back, the thing was gonzo. Well, another delivery truck driver had pulled into the alley right behind me, so I asked if he had a set of jumper cables and a, strong battery so he could jump me. He did, but the problem was that his cables were only 16 feet long, and they wouldn't reach from his battery to mine. When the alley was too narrow to try to park the truck side by side, that would have worked, but it couldn't. And my truck was too heavy to be pushed into a better position. I thought about swapping batteries with this guy so I could at least pull my truck out of the alley, but the cable connections were so corroded on both trucks that they wouldn't budge. And, we didn't have any tools either. I then struck upon an idea that allowed us to get my truck started in only a few short minutes. What was the idea?
You put the two cables together and you put the bumpers touching.
Exactly.
Wow!
Jumper cables consist of 2 wires.
Yeah.
All right, with clamps on each end. So you've got 4 clamps.
Yeah.
Right? And they're kind of stuck together through the insulation. And if you peel them apart and then clamp the ends together, you have, instead of one 16-foot-long pair of jumper cables, you have one 32-foot-long cable, but you only have one.
You only have one of them.
But trucks have steel bumpers and steel frames, and the steel of the frame is the conductive path for all the electrons, and you made the electrons travel through one cable and then through the frames of both vehicles to get back to the original jumping battery, and voila,
Wow.
the thing was started. Pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
Do we have a winner this week?
Yeah, we do. The winner is Mark Jurger from Salem, Oregon.
Good work, Mark.
And for having his answer selected at random from among the thousands of answers that we got that were correct, Mark will get a $25 gift certificate to the Car Talk Shameless Commerce Division, with which he can get a copy of our brand new album, Why You Should Never Listen to Your Father When It Comes to Cars. It's a great stuffer.
Stocking, that is.
No, not a stocking stuffer. It's for your turkey. Turkey stuffer. You give it to your father and he'll tell you where to stuff it, I think.
We will have a brand new puzzler coming up in the third half of the show. In the meantime, you can ask the questions by calling 888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
This is Joan in Arlington,
Arlington what?
Virginia.
Virginia.
Well, there happens to be in Arlington, Massachusetts.
There is.
really?
There's
happens to be.
There's
I
an
knew about the
Arlington.
one in Texas, but I
And
didn't know
in
about
Texas.
this
There's
one.
an Arlington in every one of the 48 contiguous states.
But none is as noteworthy as Arlington, Virginia.
No.
Everyone knows where that one is.
Everyone knows.
So what's up, June?
Joan.
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 June.
That's close. I've been called June.
I had the J part right anyway.
The month is June.
I've been called
No, it's
Jane.
not.
Jane.
All right, Jane, what's up?
Well, I'm hoping you can resolve a difference of opinion I have with a friend,
Male or female friend?
female.
Okay.
It involves speed and the lifespan of a car.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that if you don't go super fast on the highway, you will be preserving the life of your car. The engine will last longer.
Well, define super fast.
70, 75.
So you are a proponent of driving 65 or less, and your friend drives
75 or more.
Well, when you can. I mean, on the open highway, or, there
Sure.
are places where the speed limit is 65 and people are clearly going, 75.
Right.
whatever.
Right. Well, is that the range of it, 65 to 75? Because if that's the case,
No, if it's greater than 75.
well, I mean, does it have to be much greater than 75?
Oh, I don't, I'm probably not over, 75. I
Oh, okay.
think, but
Gotcha. Well, I mean, here's the basic trade-off. If you drive faster, you get there sooner,
right.
right?
Duh.
Which means you're putting less time on the car.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Okay, let's see where
Just
this
like,
is going.
Just like if you were low on gas, you should drive as fast as possible.
No, I know.
So you run out of gas sooner while it's still daylight.
It's still daylight, and you might be able to coast
You get
the
going
last
fast
7 miles. No, but I mean that is really the trade-off, and the difference between 65 and 75 isn't much.
Isn't much. However, the drag or the wind resistance goes up with the square of the speed.
Yeah. Like if it were 55 versus 75, it would be double.
Well,
Almost.
you're using more gas.
Yes, so you would use much more gas because the wind resistance would be twice as much.
Not only would you be using more gas, which we know, I mean, the faster you go, is as long as you're not traveling in a vacuum, the more fuel it's going to take because of the wind resistance, but also the harder you make the engine work.
Uh-huh.
So the engine runs hotter. The harder equates to hotter.
Right.
So,
And hotter equates to wear.
and shortened life.
And
so
shortened
life.
if you
I thought.
consistently drive at very high speed, but there's hardly much difference between 65 and 75 for it to make that much of a difference. But if the difference were between 55 and 85, I'd say you'd see a significant difference.
Uh-huh.
But more important than how fast your ultimate speed is, at least if we're talking about 65 and 75, is how fast you get there. No, really.
The wrecking of a car is much more a function of acceleration than it is of speed.
So if you're going a constant, steady speed.
The constant, steady speed's okay, but if you're, if, for example, if you hit the entrance ramp on the highway and you're doing essentially 0, and you floor the thing and keep it floored until while your head is snapped back so far that you can't see the speedometer, and then when you think you've passed everyone, you ease up on the gas pedal and you settle into like a nice cruising speed of 80. You'll wreck the engine and the rest of the car, too.
Right, but if you get up to that speed in a sane way, the car will last forever. And it won't make much difference whether you drive at 65 or 75.
Okay, that's good.
But you're safer at 55 than you are at 75.
Right. We're not talking about
No, we're not
safety.
talking about safety.
Theory.
That's not part of the discussion. It's not admissible as evidence.
It's not admissible, no, because the prosecution did not open up that bag of worms. That's all. That's right.
So I have to tell my friend that she's right?
Well, you may have to.
Well, her position is it doesn't really make much difference, and then you'd have to tell her she's right.
On the other hand, you could tell her that you didn't get through to us, and you'll still be trying. See you, Joan.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Good luck.
June.
Bye.
Okay.
See you, Joan.
Bye.
1-888-CAR-TALK or 1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Mark. I'm from Princeton, New Jersey.
Hi,
Is that
Mark.
Mark with a C or a K?
It's with a K.
I knew it. From
What do
Princeton,
you have, about an 80% chance? Yeah. First of all, the original reason why I called was on the airplane call that you guys had last week.
Airplane call.
I remember nothing about anything.
You remember there was a guy with an airplane. He couldn't get it started
Yes.
when it was hot.
Oh, yeah. I remember full lean, max throttle.
Yeah, well, it's in his owner's manual. If he looks in his owner's manual, he'll find a hot starting procedure. Any fuel-injected airplane engine, the reason why they have a problem with hot starting is because the fuel lines run right over top of the engine, and they tend to get hot.
Vapor lock.
And you get vapor lock, yeah. So what you have to do is you run the fuel pump for about 30 to 60 seconds, and that purges that hot fuel, runs it back into the tank, and brings up cooler fuel. And then depending on what type of engine it is, you have that stuff with the leaning and the throttle and the this and the that.
Right, but that's peculiar to his engine.
Incidental, yeah.
That's incidental.
I had the feeling that all his little settings were immaterial to the whole problem.
The other thing that he can do with that airplane is he can buy a higher energy starter, and it'll spin the props faster, and that's the mechanic I talked to said that would work out real well for him.
How do you know so much about this stuff?
I write for an aviation magazine down here in New Jersey.
So you fly, obviously.
Yeah.
I hate to ask this. I mean, I'm sure it's rather personal, but where the hell do you go? I mean, I don't mean to pry or anything like that.
Well, don't forget, people who have airplanes, they don't necessarily have to go anywhere. They fly because they like to. Remember the old days when you were a little kid in 1922?
We like to fly and it shows? Yeah.
No. People used to get in the car and go for what?
A ride.
A ride.
We still do. You got a problem with that?
Yeah. I mean, people don't go for
some of us
anymore.
don't go for rides because their cars are incapable of going for rides.
This is true.
Yeah.
Different people enjoy different things, and one of the things that I enjoy most about it is getting places. But it's different people do different things.
Sure, and the truth is that people who have no place to go will come up with things to do and places
absolutely.
to go.
There's the famed $100 hamburger.
Exactly. Just like in the old days when cars had the kind of mystique that planes now have for these people would go to 100 miles and get themselves a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be in the car.
Just because
God only knows why.
Well, on a more important issue,
yes.
Do you really know how they get them off the ground?
Yeah, money.
Well, I mean, for years, it is interesting. For years, we were taught that the air flowing over the wing and the accompanying, I would guess you'd call it
pressure differential.
Pressure differential would cause the lift.
Mm-hmm.
But you know now, of course, that's baloney.
It's what's your explanation?
Well, we've always known it was baloney because planes could fly upside down.
Yeah, well, it's
so that
right. They gave us some malarkey about the shape of the wing and that little area of low pressure on top of the wing and the higher pressure below. And I think they figured out that it has nothing to do with anything except that it's called the angle of attack of the wing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the angle of attack of the wing creates that shape. That's why you can fly upside down if you want to, because it's a lot less efficient. And if you'll see an airplane flying upside down, he's got a much steeper angle of attack. In order to maintain that kind of airflow.
That's
but
right. You have
do you really want to hear about that?
No, we really don't.
I
But I was sure you knew.
I do have a question about
okay.
a car.
Oh, a car question.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, we're out of time. Go ahead. What is it?
I have an '86 Sentra, and actually, this does kind of kick back to aviation, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I found that that during the winter, last winter, it was tending to lose power on the highway after a given period of time, and then I would pull over the side of the road, and I could either let it idle for a while or shut it down, and in a couple of minutes, start it back up again, and away we go, and everything will be fine.
Mark, if anyone should know the answer to this question.
Is it carburetor ice?
Absolutely. I mean, anyone that flies should know carburetor icing is responsible for this on a much smaller scale, of course.
Okay.
So what you need to do, remember that hose that fell off that went between the air cleaner and the manifold, that little paper hose?
Oh, okay.
Fell off about 6 years ago.
And you said, who the hell needs that?
That was long before I became involved in this thing.
Yeah, that's what you need to replace, and make sure that the little valve inside the air cleaner works.
The PCV?
No, inside the snorkel of the air cleaner, there's a little door that's vacuum operated. And if that doesn't close and shunt off the cold air and allow warm air to come from the manifold via this tube that fell off,
then you'll
get icing.
Okay.
And you need to replace that. And now that I know you're driving an '86 Sentra, it's no surprise that you fly as much as you do.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, that's where all my money goes.
That's for sure. Thanks for your call.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for talking.
See you.
As soon as he said 86 Sentra, I said, now I know why he wants to fly everywhere.
1-888-CAR TALK or 1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Christina from Chicago.
Christina with a C-H.
With a K, actually.
From Chicago with a K?
I got it. K-R-I-S-T-E-E-N-A-H.
Actually, born and bred Jersey girl. So.
Jersey.
Oh, Jersey.
That's close enough.
Really?
Yeah.
And what nationality are your parents? Are they like Nordic people with the K? Are they like Norwegians?
My dad is half German.
German.
That would explain it.
That's good. Okay.
I have a '89 Dodge Colt. I took it in for its annual get ready for Chicago winter and tune-up. And I had them check the brakes because I'm majorly paranoid about it, having lived in San Francisco for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they called me and told me that both of my axles need to be replaced. And this kind of freaked me out because I'd never heard of anyone having to replace both the axles on their car.
Wait, are you sure they were actually talking about the axles?
That's what they said.
I'm sure they were.
They said that basically if I didn't get them replaced and we got a really bad snowstorm, I could end up with a broken axle.
To which you should have said, yeah, so?
Well, that's what I didn't know. Yeah, so?
Had you been having noises when you drove the car?
Yes. It sounded kind of like, a mattress when it bounces, when the car goes on uneven ground. In the past, my noises have always been my brakes, which is why I...
Oh, I see. How were your brakes, by the way?
My brakes were fine.
Yeah, see, they had a need to sell you something.
Yeah. The brakes were fine, so, they couldn't let you just walk out the door.
After all, they did go through all the bother of actually putting it on the lift.
I know, right?
Of course.
They had to sell you something. Well, it may be that you need the axles, but I certainly would get a second opinion. The kinds of noises you would get from axles that are about to break would be on turns, you would get a clack, 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 clack kind of noise. Or when accelerating hard, you get a clack, 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 and it would go away when you let off on the gas pedal.
Yeah, no, mine are more just kind of like the car groans when I have to do...
Axles don't do that.
Okay.
No, you probably need ball joints and struts. But suffice it to say that what they probably saw was that the boots on the axles were torn open, and that within a short period of time you will need new axles. But you may be able to just replace the boots, which is cheaper. So you should ask them about that. And if they think the axles are all right and they're not filled up with dirt and all the joints aren't all worn out, then you can do that.
Okay.
They probably wanted many hundreds of dollars for this, huh?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would get a second opinion.
Okay.
I wouldn't go back there.
No, tell them you're trying to get your mother out of reform school.
Yeah.
And you haven't got the dough right now. And when you succeed in that, you'll be back and go take it someplace else.
Right.
Well, I told them I was trying to finish up law school, so.
That's even better. So you could sue their butts.
You're saving up for the operation to have the shot glass removed from your mother's throat.
See you, Christina.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Wow.
All right, Tommy, it's that time of the show again.
Is this the part where the underwriters pull out, the station managers resign, and the staff begs for an overnight shift? Is that
No, that usually happens in the first half. It's just time for us to take a little station break.
Ah, all right, we'll be back with a brand new puzzler in just a moment. How's that?
We will.
Coming home from work, my dog's asleep by my side. Stopped for a cold one, didn't think blue would mind. Cracked the window on my pickup truck and said I'll be right back. I didn't mean to wake you up. Finished off a beer and started to leave when the sweetest looking gal sat down beside me. Looked at my watch, thought about blue, but when she looked up at me, I knew what I had to do. Now I wasn't looking, but I ain't blind. Just can't walk away from a pretty girl's eyes. Can't help it, I'm just like that. Now the dog's out of the cab and he's riding him back.
And even though the NPR doorman mutters something about the doorknob and the way out every time he hears us say it, this is NPR.
Hey, thanks for listening, and I want to make sure you know about Up First. You can start your day with it tomorrow. Up First is the morning news podcast from NPR. When news moves fast, Up First is the quick morning update on what happened and what you need to start the day. Wake up with Up First tomorrow morning on the NPR One app and also wherever you listen to podcasts.
Ha! We're back. You're listening to Car Talk with us, Click and Clack, the Tappert Brothers, and we're here to talk about cars, car repair, and the new puzzler.
Okay, go. I'm ready.
You taking notes?
Yeah. I have to remember it next week.
Right.
Yeah.
This came in from someone named John Kelly, and I didn't mess around with it too much. We'll see how you like it.
That'll be interesting.
True story, he writes. While living in the Bronx, a friend who will remain anonymous bought a car in White Plains, about 21 miles north of the city. He didn't have anyone to help him pick up the new car, so he decided to do it all by himself. Now, whenever someone says a friend who will remain anonymous, and then the rest of the story is something harebrained, you know
it's him.
It's him. Yeah, so John, we're with you, brother. Anyway, and because he wasn't trading the car in, he had to come up with this ingenious plan. He wasn't trading in his old car. You ready? Here's what he did. He drove his old car 21 miles north, right, and parked it in the dealer's lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Picked up the new car, paid for it, got the keys and all that, and drove it 1 mile south.
Yeah.
Locked it up, walked back north 1 mile to the dealer, picked up his old car, drove it, the older car.
2 miles.
2 miles.
Got it.
Locked that up, walked back 1 mile, picked up the new car, drove it 2 miles south, locked it up, walked back 1 mile to the other car, et cetera, until he reached home with both cars.
And how far was home?
It was 21 miles between where he lived in the Bronx and the dealership in White Plains.
Okay.
So the question is, at the end of the very long day, how many total miles did he walk and drive?
Yeah.
Okay, so we want the total number,
Sounds simple.
Sounds simple enough, right? But
it does.
Be careful. If you think you know the answer, scratch it on the side of a Bobcat 2200 4x4 utility vehicle with IntelliTrack 4-wheel drive, continuously variable transmission, 20 horsepower liquid-cooled diesel engine, of course, 1,200-pound capacity, bucket seat, driver and passenger cup holders, and 24-hour lawn side assistance, and send it to Puzzler Tower, Car Talk Plaza, Box 3500, Harvard Square, Cambridge.
Our fair city.
Matt 02238.
Or you can email us your answer from cartalk.com.
But right now, if you have a question for us about your car, we're at 888-CAR-TALK. That's 888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Joyce, and I'm calling from Dundalk, Maryland, which is a little suburb of Baltimore.
Hi, Joyce.
Dundalk.
Yeah, Dundalk.
D-U-N-D-O-C-K?
No, D-U-N-D-A-L-K. Settled by Thomas McShane, named after his Irish town of Dundalk, Ireland.
Yes, it's Dundalk, Ireland.
That's half of the vanity.
Of course, now there is another story that they got their name from the Italian immigrants, that when the ship came in and they saw it, they're yelling, Dundalk, Dundalk, Dundalk.
I like that one better.
There's always a story. And it always involves Italians. Have you noticed that?
Yes, I've noticed
I don't know why that is. Okay, Joyce. What's up?
I've got this Corolla.
Yeah.
In the past month, it has started making this noise in the morning when it's cold. And the noise is... Now,
when
my
you first
son
started
says,
up?
Yes.
And it goes away after what, 5 minutes?
After about 7 minutes after it's warmed up. Now, my son says it sounds like valve tap. And I said, well, no, because when your father's fan had that, it had more of a click, click, click sound. This, I don't know how to describe it. It sounds like it has, like, air behind it.
Well, I think it is valve tap.
Ooh.
And the reason that your car makes a very different noise from the van that you had is you have a valve that's about 1/4 the mass of those valves of yesteryear in those big American cars. And when those valves made noise, it was stap, stap, tap, 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 tap. And yours, because it's a little tiny little valve, because it's a little tiny little engine, goes tick, 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 tick.
Yeah. How many miles on this Corolla?
79.5.
I don't know why it should be doing this. Have you been religious about changing the oil? That means, do you do it every Sunday morning?
No, I don't do it every Sunday morning, but I have religiously changed the oil every 3,000 miles.
Well, way too often.
That's the problem.
No, it isn't the oil at all that's causing the problem. I suspect it's deposits from your gasoline.
Yeah, I think so, too.
And you need to use, I hate to say this, a gasoline additive.
Yeah.
I mean, even though they tell you, and we even tell people, you don't need this junk.
Yes.
We've found that certain cars do need it.
Now, I've always used the lowest octane in this.
That's okay.
That's okay?
It's not a matter of octane.
Okay.
It's a matter of deposits somehow getting on the valves and preventing them from closing. And when that happens, then you hear the tick, 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 and after a while it warms up and it works.
I mean, it's interesting that all the manufacturers claim that they have additives in their gas that clean,
prevent this.
But at the same time, when you go to buy gas, they have a big display rack between the pumps where they sell all these additives
that you don't need.
That you don't need.
That's correct. Yeah, well.
And one of the better ones that we found is the stuff made by Chevron called Techron.
Okay.
And it will probably work for your car.
So I should try that first before I take it to the dreaded dealer.
Yeah.
Okay.
You pour this right in the gas tank, and you take a couple of shots of it yourself. And a couple of tanks, and it might be gone.
Okay. And if it doesn't work...
Don't call back because we can't take it anymore. We just can't, Joyce. We can't take it.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys.
See you later.
Good luck.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
1-888-CAR TALK or 1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Bob Berger from Durham.
No last name,
Hi,
please.
Bob.
Durham, New Hampshire, or Durham, North Carolina?
Durham, North Carolina.
Hey, okay.
What's shaking?
Well, I'm having a little trouble with my wife's car, and because of that, I'm having trouble with my wife.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. She thinks I've been working on it unauthorized.
Oh.
Yeah. The problem is the air conditioning compressor is turning on whenever we turn the heater on. Now, normally that would be okay, and I think it's been doing it for a while, but I think the bearings are frozen on it.
What, are you sure it's coming on when you turn the heater on and not the defroster?
Because it's supposed to come on when you turn the defroster on.
Oh, really?
In most cars, yeah.
Oh.
Because they've realized...
What kind of a Honda is this?
It's a... Did I say Honda?
No.
I'm sorry. It's a Taurus.
It does come on.
I made it up.
I do own a Honda.
Oh, you do?
And he was wondering how we knew that.
You guys are good.
We are good, you know.
No, when you turn the defroster on in your Taurus, it automatically turns the air conditioner on. And because what they figured out is the reason that your window is all fogged up inside is that there's too much moisture in the car.
Oh.
And the air conditioner, even though it cools the air, also primarily removes the moisture. So you send in warm air, but warm, dry air to defrost the window. And as you do that, as you evaporate that moisture from the windshield, you eliminate it from the car. It drips out the bottom.
Okay, now that we've told you that it's supposed to do that, tell us what you did to screw everything up.
Well, my wife wanted to know why I hooked up the air conditioning compressor to the heater.
Oh, she thought you did that.
Yeah. And I said, I haven't done anything, honey.
But what were you doing under there?
Oh, nothing. It just happened.
Oh, it just happened.
Well, the real question is, what other moronic things have you done around the house that made her just assume that this was just one other one of them?
I figured you'd ask me that. Well, there was the time I took out electricity to half the house.
Oh.
And she still lets you work on the car?
Well, she lets me change the oil.
Because
I didn't tell her that one time I drained the transmission fluid out of the car. The oil.
Last week, my wife allowed me. I mean, this is a new vote of confidence. I mean, my wife would never let me touch anything in the house because I have managed to break everything that I touch.
Mm-hmm.
But she actually asked me if I would help her to hang a mirror. And I actually got little hooky things and nailed them into the wall. And every hour, I go in to see if it fell down. And I would report to her, hey, hon, still up. And it's been up now for about a week.
Did you get goosebumps while you were doing it?
Oh, it was thrilling.
I mean, did that rush?
That testosterone
was it
rush. It was there, man. It was there. I loved it.
Next week, I predict that you'll be allowed to clean out the garage. If you're good. Bob, tell your wife not to worry. You didn't screw anything up this time.
No.
Oh, good.
Everything's as it should be. All's right with the world.
See you, Bob.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
1-888-CAR-TALK or 1-888-227-8255. Hello, you're on Car Talk.
Hi, this is Helen from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Helen.
How are you?
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
Tell me, I've been to Salt Lake City. It didn't seem like there was a whole lot going on. I mean...
That's a rumor.
I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean...
You know, you're right. There isn't much going on downtown, at least during the weekend. But it's starting to snow here right now.
Sounds like a great place. No, I will admit, however, that I felt very safe in Salt Lake City.
Yes, it is a very safe city.
Yeah, well, there was nobody there. That's why. Anyway.
Except for the snow, everything else is safe.
That's right. That's right.
Snowing. And so what's on your mind?
Well, I've got a 94 Toyota 4x4, and I recently moved out here to Salt Lake City from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And when I got out here, I noticed that my gas mileage had improved dramatically. I was getting an extra 100 miles per tank. I thought this was great. 2 months after I lived here, I got all 4 tires changed. And I lost all my extra miles. I lost 60 of those extra miles, and I want to get those miles back. How do I do that?
What do you think? Someone kidnapped them? Are you willing to pay the ransom or what? So you went. How many miles were you getting to the tank in Milwaukee?
In Milwaukee, I was getting 300, and out here I was getting 400, and now I'm getting 338.
No kidding.
How would you know this?
How do I know this?
Well, yeah.
Well, I use the tripometer, and I reset it every time I fill up the tank.
But you see, getting miles to the tank is not a very accurate measure. You really have to measure miles per gallon.
But it's an extra 100 miles. Isn't that enough?
How do you know it's an extra 100 miles?
Well, it said.
How many gallons is it?
Oh, it's 18 gallons.
But you get 18. In other words, every time you need gas, you run it out, and they've pushed you to the gas station, and you're filling up the tank, and it's taking 18 gallons. What I'm trying to get at is a much more accurate way to measure this is miles per gallon.
I guess you're right. Okay.
Yeah, and what I suspect is going on is the gas gauge is behaving inaccurately.
You're kidding, really?
That's what I think. But the absolute way to verify your mileage is to fill the tank up, set your odometer, drive until the tank needs gas again, whatever that may be, and then read the number on your trip odometer and divide that by the number of gallons that you bought.
Okay.
And you will get miles per gallon.
I mean, how many times did you experience the 300 gallons per tank full and the 400 gallon?
And were you driving anywhere near Hangar 18?
No, I'm not.
I mean, are we talking about like a one-time measurement?
No,
300
not at
miles
all.
per tank, or did you do 20 tankfuls?
I did a year and a half of tankfuls in Milwaukee, and
then how many in Salt Lake City at the 400?
At the 400 was only probably between 4 and 5 before I got.
Yeah, see, that could be Move Euphoria.
Move Euphoria.
Yeah, it's a little-known phenomenon that occurs.
What is it?
Oh, I don't know what it is. I just named it.
I mean, what it would mean would be that somehow, for some subconscious reason, when you moved to Salt Lake City, I got it here. You just said that it's a safe place, right? My brother said he felt safe in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I did.
Feeling safer you subconsciously waited longer to get gas. When the needle got down to empty, you said, so what? I mean, if I ran out of gas, some wonderful Salt Lake City person, Utahan, will come by and give me a kiss on the cheek and take me anywhere.
And they would, too.
And they would, because they're such wonderful, sweet people. And so subconsciously, you didn't worry about running out of gas as you did in that sleazeball city of Milwaukee.
Where they'd knife you for a beer.
And
we're not on in Milwaukee, are we?
Not anymore.
You are on in Milwaukee. I used to listen to you out there.
And so what happened is you put more gas in subconsciously since you moved to Salt Lake City.
Okay.
I
hate to do this because it does damage my credibility, but I have to agree with my brother.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I'm safer here, therefore I'm using less gas.
Therefore,
right?
that's right.
Right, you're safer, therefore you are.
Yeah.
And I would use the miles per gallon method that I described earlier.
I will.
That's foolproof.
Yeah, that is.
And of course, having more air in your tires could improve your mileage too. You know, if you had very overinflated tires, that would improve your mileage. But I don't know if it would improve it that much.
Well, that's what I thought would happen because I was basically at sea level in Milwaukee and I towed it out here on a flatbed. And
you didn't tell us about the flatbed.
I didn't know that was important.
Don't you know about the effects of gas mileage on flatbeds?
No, I don't.
Oh, come on, Helen, you're wasting our time. Read up on it and call us back later. Come on, I'm sick of this. These uneducated callers. Come on. Hey, Helen, thanks a million. It's great talking to you.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy your stay in Salt Lake City, however long it may be. Well, it's happened again. You've wasted another perfectly good hour listening to Car Talk. Our esteemed producer is Doug the Subway Fugitive, not a slave to fashion, Bongo Boy, Frogman Berman. Our associate producers are David the Calves of Belleville Green and Catherine Frau Blucher Fenolosa. Our web lackey is Doug the Old Gray Mare, assisted by Connie Britchford. Our theme music is by David Dog Grisman, and our technical, spiritual, and menu advisor, just back from his pre-holiday Staten Island steak stew, starch, and strudel stomach stretch, is John Bugsy Lawler. Our public opinion pollster is Paul Murky of Murky Research, assisted by statistician Margin of Error. Our personal security man is Muscles Marinara. Our chief plastic surgeon is Luke Young. Our director of top secret strategy is Donatello Nobody. Our tolerance quality control guy is Nat Sass. I don't think so.
Why not?
All right, well, we'll try.
Yeah, try it.
Our chicken supervisor is Kent Hoyt. Our Russian chauffeur is Peek-Off and Drop-Off. And our seat cushion tester is Mike Easter. This is how lots of people's careers end. They get thrown off the radio, but I guess it's going to happen to us, too. Our chief counsel from the law firm of Dewey, Chittum & Howe is Hugh Lewis Dewey, known to the former political consultant selling falafel in Harvard Square as Huey Louie Dewey. Thanks so much for listening. We're Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers, and above all, don't drive like my brother.
And, by the way, don't drive like my brother.
We'll be back next week. Bye-bye. You can get a podcast of this show, which is number 1746, subscribe to our weekly podcast, and check out our stupendously mediocre clothing and best of collections all over at cartalk.com. Also this week at cartalk.com, we'll help you clean up your driveway. Got a car that's ready for its next life? The Car Talk Vehicle Donation Program will tow it away for free and ship the proceeds to the NPR station of your choice. Do it now, and next April 15th, you can tell the IRS to rave on because you got a tax deduction. Turn your car into the programs you love. Find out how at cartalk.com.
Car Talk is a production of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe and WBUR in Boston.
And even though Goodwill gets a rash of donated radios whenever we say it, this is NPR.